6:30 where we start. 6? Is that time?
Starts at 6 o'clock.
One of these, right? One of these.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get started now. Thank you all for coming out tonight. My name is RJ Klissowitz. I'm the Operations Manager at Auctions International. I'll be kind of conducting tonight's educational pre-bidder seminar. Standing up on the stage over there is Rush Years, our Senior Auctioneer and President of the company. And those of you who have pre-registered have met Trevor and Jared up front at the registration table. The way tonight's going to work is right now I'm going to go through the terms and conditions of the auction. We're going to answer any questions that you may have in regards to that. We're going to walk through the auction process, what to expect on auction day, where to park, where to come in, where to sit, how to do it. We're going to walk through the actual auction process, and then at the end we'll give you guys an opportunity to ask some questions, and as well as if you have not yet already, come on up and get yourselves pre-registered. Okay? Beautiful. So everyone hopefully grabbed a tax book or a catalog. Terms and conditions are listed right in the front here. You're more than welcome to follow along. If you don't have a catalog, they are up front here on the table. You're more than welcome to take those. The Cattaraugus County Annual Property Auction Terms and Conditions. Number one, all property is sold as is, where the purchaser assumes all environmental risks associated with the property being conveyed. The county makes no representations as to the zoning compliance of the property. Number two, any promotional tools such as slides, tax maps, etc. are for informational purposes only. The seller and or the auctioneer neither guarantees nor warranties anything as to the location, dimensions, parcel use, or size. Number three, the county of Cattaraugus can only sell the real property that has been assessed. Cannot sell any personal property on the premises. The disposition of that personal property is the responsibility of the successful bidder following the closing of the sale by contacting the former owner. We're going to take a quick break there, and I'm going to kind of elaborate on that. Some of these houses, some of these properties that you guys may be purchasing are going to have, in many cases, personal property on them. Cars in the driveway, boats in the garage, furniture in the house, what have you. Okay, you are not purchasing that, excuse me, you're not purchasing that merchandise. Okay, so once you have closed, you have a deed in your name, and you are now the rightful property owner or owner of that piece of real estate. It is your responsibility to either contact your attorney or the local law enforcement office on how to properly dispose of that merchandise left behind. Okay, reason being is the dresser and the bed in the living room that you think is garbage, you throw out to the curb, it gets thrown out. The previous owner comes back and says that was their $10,000 bed that came over from Road. Protect yourselves and protect basically your purchases. Make sure you follow through the process legally. May take a couple extra steps, a couple extra phone calls, but it's worth it in the long run so you guys don't have a previous owner come back and cause you a little bit of a ruckus, okay? Excuse me, number four, any rights of ways, easements, or covenants that exist at the time of county foreclosure remain and will be binding on the successful bidder. Number five, the county will pay all water and sewer bills levied prior to the auction for service periods prior to the auction. Number six, the successful bidder shall be responsible for payment of the applicable current city and village taxes related to the spring auction and school taxes related to the fall auction at the time the bidder tenders the bid balance to the county. Number seven, all properties are sold subject to subsequent county legislature confirmation. The county legislator reserves the right to reject any or all bids at their sole discretion for any reason whatsoever. Number eight, possession of the property is forbidden until the deed is recorded with the Cattaraugus County Clerk, conveying title to the purchaser. Title vests upon recording of the deed. It is agreed between the county and the purchaser that delivery and acceptance of the deed occurs upon recording the deed. Absolutely no trespassing shall occur. This will be enforced for the protection of the seller and the buyer. Violation can stop the sale, and violators can be prosecuted. So we're going to kind of hit on that one real quick. Next Saturday after the auction, you come up and pay your deposit. You don't get to go to the house and start collecting rent from the people living in the house. Okay, you don't even have the legal ability to go in the house and look at what you bought. Okay, so you are not allowed to on or in the buildings or on the properties legally until you have a deed in your name. Okay, so we run into this issue very rarely, but it happens, where somebody thinks that now that they bought it at the auction, they can go and start collecting rent. You can't do that. Okay, so as soon as the county gives you a piece of paper in your hand that says you are now the legal owner of this piece of property that you bought at the auction, you then can proceed with caution to do what you want with your properties. Okay? Number 9, the county legislature reserves the right to reject any bids if the bidder has violated the terms and conditions of the sale or violation of the law as related to a particular property before, at the time of, or subsequent to the given auction, and at the discretion of the treasurer, violator can be barred from future auctions. Number 10, the county will convey by quitclaim deed only with no warranty or representation as to the marketability of the title. After approval of the county legislature and after payment of the accepted purchase price, along with the applicable current taxes, closing fees, costs, deed filing fee, the deed will be recorded by the county in the clerk's office. Number 11, at the auction, the successful bidder is required to pay a deposit of 20% of the bid price to be applied to the bid price and a 10% buyer's premium. There's a 4% discount on the buyer's premium if you use guaranteed funds. 20% deposit and the buyer's premium are both non-refundable and in the form of cash, money order, certified check, or Visa, Master, or Discover card. And there will not be any personal or business checks nor American Express cards. The highest bidder fails to tender the 20% deposit along with the 10% buyer's premium, the 6% after the discount, before the deadline on the auction date, and the second highest bidder shall be notified and given the opportunity to tender their own high bid to the county. The second bidder fails to tender the high bid price in the county by the deadline established on the auction date, then the parcel will be re-auctioned on the same date, and neither the first bidder nor the second bidder may participate in the rebid. All bidders should pay for their parcels immediately, and all second bidders should stay until they are sure the parcel is paid for which they are the backup bidder. So let's go back and kind of discuss that real quick. On auction day, if you're going to be paying with a credit card, you'll have to pay 30% down, 30% deposit, 20% for the county, 10% buyer's premium for Auctions International. If you're going to be paying with certified funds or cash, that is 26% total, okay? If you're going to have guaranteed funds made out, it's going to be made out to the Cattaraugus County Treasurer. Not Auctions International, not RJ, not Russ, not Joe, maybe Joe. But you're going to make it out to the county treasurer, okay? Now it talks about the first bidder and the second bidder. On auction day, what we do is we record the high bidder, the person who successfully had their paddle up the longest, that number and the amount that they bid. We will also record the backup bidder, so the other bidder who was competing with that high bidder, their bidder number and their amount of their high bid. On auction day, we will have another screen set up front here that will have grid work. It'll kind of look like a checkerboard. It will have numbers. It'll have every number that correlates to the property numbers in your book. As those properties are paid for, there will be a big black X that goes through that. Okay? If there's not a big black X, it has not yet been paid for on auction day. Okay, so basically meaning if you were the backup bidder or if you were interested in that parcel and were not the successful high bidder, you're going to want to stick around and make sure that gets crossed off. We've already sort of forecasted that we're probably going to take between 3 or 4 breaks during the auction. It's going to be a long day. Okay, we have a lot of properties to go through. Each of those breaks is going to give the high bidders the opportunity to come up and make their deposits. Okay, if you're going to be purchasing multiple properties, at that time you come up, make arrangements with us, give us a cash deposit so you can keep bidding further on. But after the first, we'll call it an intermission. If we still have numbers up on the board that have not yet been paid for, we'll make an announcement and ask the high bidder to come up. If the high bidder doesn't come up, we're then going to call up the number of the second highest bidder, that being the backup bidder. The backup bidder, you'll have the opportunity to take that property at your high bid price. If you choose not to, as the backup bidder, you don't have to, you're not obligated, you have the first option. We will then re-auction it. Okay, when we re-auction it, the high bidder and the backup bidder can no longer participate in that property. Okay, does that make sense to everybody? So If you think that you're going to not take it at your backup bid price and get it cheaper by rebidding it, that term just says that's not going to happen. Okay, so make sure that if you guys are interested in it, you stick around until it's crossed off, especially if you're a backup bidder. If the property remains unsold after each of our intermissions, we will resell that property right then and there. Okay? Excuse me. Number 12. Any bidder who refuses to pay for one or more of the parcels cannot purchase any other parcel at that auction and may be prohibited from bidding at all future auctions. Very important. If you buy 5 properties, you don't get to pay for 2 of them. If you buy 5 properties, you have to pay for all 5. All right? So there's no selective. You don't get to be the high bidder for a whole bunch and come up and decide that, oh, you only have so much amount of money. So if you buy 5 properties, you either buy all 5 or you buy 0. Okay? Everyone make sense of that? Number 13. Bid for $200 or less must be paid in full at the auction and is non-refundable. Other fees, such as any applicable current tax or deed filing fee, will still have the 30-day deadline. So any bid for possibly a vacant lot that is for $250 or less, you're going to have to pay that $250 or less instead of the deposit percentage. Number 14. Once the auctioneer accepts the bid and the down payment is made, no refunds will be made. Number 15. All bidders must hold a bidder number catalog provided by the auction company. Those of you who pre-registered have a nice bright orange card in your hand. Don't lose it. You can. It's not going to be the end of the world. We ask that you don't. So on auction day, we will administer ping pong paddle-sized paddles. Okay, they're real big. They're white. They have the number that you have on your orange card really big. They cost us a lot of money. You guys are going to lose an orange piece of paper, so we're not going to give you the ping pong paddle to bring back a week. So we give you a placeholder. On auction day, those of you who have that orange piece of paper, instead of coming up front to register like you just did, there will be a separate table. You're going to follow orange arrows. Orange card, orange arrows. It's going to take you to the pre-registered table. At that time, you'll go over, you'll hand them your orange card on bidder 13. They're going to reach over and give you paddle number 13. Okay? So that alleviates the paperwork and what you guys just did right now. Where exactly that table is going to be, I'm not 100% sure, but I promise you there will be big orange arrows that you can't miss. So if you have an orange piece of paper in your hand and you're coming to the auction, you have to make sure you follow those orange arrows and get a paddle. You can't use the orange bidder card. Number 16, any mail bid received prior to the auction shall be accompanied by 20% of the bid, along with a 10% or a discounted 6% buyer's premium by cashier's check. In the event that there are no other bidders, auctioneer will ask if anyone wishes to be considered the second bidder at the minimum bid amount. Number 17, all decisions regarding disputes shall remain totally within the auctioneer's discretion. Number 18, the auctioneer reserves the right to reject any bid that is not an appreciable advancement over the preceding bid. Number 19, the auctioneer and the seller shall remain forever immune from any and all liability concerning any personal injury or property damage occurring before, during, or after the auction, no matter what the cause. Number 20, at the time the auctioneer declares the final and highest price, the buyer will be required to sign the purchase agreement. 21, if the buyer cannot be present, he shall bid through a representative appointed by a signed power of attorney, which document shall be submitted at the time of registration. Number 2, the deed must be made out according to either the registration information or the power of attorney document. That's why we kind of stressed very importantly that how you register will be how the paperwork is made out. So if you guys are registering as yourself, paperwork's going to be made out to you individually. If you're registering as you and spouse, you and a kid, you and your friend, make sure that the documents reflect that. If you're registering as a corporation or an LLC, make sure that you guys furnished our registry clerks with your articles of incorporation and the documentation authorizing you to bid on behalf of that corporation. Number 23. The successful bidder does not tender the full payment within 30 days after the auction. After adoption by the county legislature of the bid, the 20% of the total bid price will be forfeited to Cattaraugus County. Buyer's premium is also non-refundable. The seller is not responsible for payment of interest on deposit, whether closed or not. Number 24. Successful bidder purchaser shall certify that he or she does not represent the former owner or owners of the property against whom the county foreclosed, and agrees that he/she shall not convey the property to the former owners within 24 months subsequent to the auction. Such transfer occurs, purchaser understands that he or she may be found to have committed fraud and or intent to defraud, and will be liable for any deficiency owed to the county as related to the auction price compared to the foreclosure amount. Number 25, no sale of title property shall be made to any county legislators, legislator's spouse, or dependent children. Next we have the agricultural district disclosure. Notice is hereby given the premises being sold may lie within an agricultural district as designated upon tax map. It's the sole responsibility of any bidder to ascertain which specific parcels is so designated and so subject to provisions of law applicable thereto. The policy of this state and community to conserve, protect, and encourage the development and improvement of the agricultural land for the productions of food and other products, and also for its natural and ecological value. This disclosure notice is to inform prospective residents that the property they are about to acquire lies partially or wholly within an agricultural district and that farming activities occur within that district. Such farming activities may include, but not limited to, activities that cause noise, dust, and odors. Prospective residents are also informed that the location of the property within an agricultural district may impact the ability to access water and/or sewer services for such property under certain circumstances. Okay? So those are the terms and conditions of the auction, folks. Very important that you read them, you read them together. On auction day, you will have to have your deposit amounts in your hands. As I have mentioned before, we're going to give you guys a window to come on up and pay before we start the next portion of the sale. Doesn't mean if you're the bidder or the high bidder of the first lot that you can go home, do a little lunch, run to the bank, make a sandwich, tuck the kids in, then come back. You're pretty much so obligated at the time that you're the high bidder to come up and make your deposit. Okay? Any questions on the terms and conditions of the auction? Up front.
Going back to condition number 18,
Number 18.
what is the appreciable advancement, and is it going to be different for each property?
So number 18, the question is, what does that mean? So auction reserves the right to reject any bid that does not have an appreciable advancement over the preceding bid. So let me explain that to you. So for parcels that are selling for lower amounts, let's say we start at $25 on a vacant lot. We'll go up to by $25 increments to $500. All right, from $500 to $1,000, we'll go up by 100. All right, once we get to 1,000, it's hard to gauge, but typically we'll go up either by 250 or 100. I mean, if we have 25 people with their paddles up at $1,000, we're not going to go 1,100, 1,200, 13. We'll go 1,250, 15, 1,750, 2,000. Basically, what that's saying is once you get into the bigger numbers, such as 20,000, that you're not allowed to bid $20,010. That the next bid would be either $20,500 or $21,000. So that's what it means if we're asking for, you have 20,000, we're asking for 20,500, and you're screaming $20,010. That means the auctioneer has the right to reject that because that's not an appreciable advancement. Okay, so it's not saying we're not going to take your bid, it's just saying that if we go up by $10 up in the $25,000 range, we'll be here for 3 weeks. Okay, does that answer your question? Yes, ma'am.
The January taxes that came due for 2018, how is that working on these properties?
We are going to invite the county up to address that question for you. The question was the taxes that came out in January, how are they going to affect these properties?
So any taxes prior, the county is taking care of. You're going to be making your bid amount. The only taxes you're responsible for are what's current, which would be the current village or city. If this was a fall auction, then school taxes would come into play. But right now, the only thing that would be current tax would be the village or city.
So no county.
I got a question in regards to that. Are those taxes due at auction day? And how will we know what they are?
So
The question was, are the taxes for the village and the city due on auction day or?
So they're actually due at the time of your final payment. So when you're approved by the legislature to buy your property, we make out a letter that goes to you. It would be showing the deadline, of course. It would show your bid amount minus your down payment. It would add the current city or village tax to it. It would be the tax only, not somebody else's delinquent water and sewer. Also, the deed filing fee is in that letter. The deed filing fee, if you're buying a house or agricultural land that has a class code of like 100, anything like that would have a deed filing fee of $185.25. If you're buying vacant land or commercial land, the deed filing fee is $310.25. So those fees all come together in that letter. you're supposed to pay that at the time that your bid balance is due.
Will the highest bidder know what that fee is at the time he bids?
Which fee? The village tax?
The
In your book, it gives, I believe, an estimate of that tax, what would be typical for that property.
If you are looking for the exact current tax, who would know is the person in that municipality. So contact the village or city that the parcel you're located in and ask them to see the current tax bill so you have an idea as to where about it's at.
And usually we have our option earlier in the year, so that information is definite, but this particular year we're later. So you could even go online and see the tax information on the real property GIS site.
Call the town, call the village.
It's not involved.
It's not in the
What
book.
about water? That's
Sorry.
the
What
water.
was the filing fee on a vacant land?
310.25.
$310.25.
And I didn't hear what you said about the water.
Will that get paid upon buying the land right Saturday?
No, at closing.
At closing.
On auction day, the only thing you're going to be responsible for is either your 30% or 26% deposit, which is going to be the 20% for the county and either the 10% or the 6% for the auctioneer, depending on how you pay. That's all that's going to be due on Saturday.
So we can't pay all of it until we get notified by the legislator?
Correct.
And what did you say?
You
about-
can pay all, if you want to pay, you buy a $100,000 house on Saturday and you want to give us $100,000, we'll take it. I'm not saying you can't do that, but the deed filing
You don't know what
fees.
the taxes are.
Correct, correct.
So the
I was
question
just
about
worried
the delinquent water and
Yeah,
sewer.
because I know those can really get.
Right, so the county actually, as it brings out returns, any prior water, delinquent water and sewer, the county takes care of. 4 time periods covered before we sell it to you.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
What happens if the legislators reject the bid? You get your 26 to 30% back?
Yes. In the event that the legislator does decline a bid, you would get your deposit amounts back.
Why would they decline the bid?
Couldn't tell you. I've never seen it happen. It's there. The opportunity could happen. I don't know if there would be an extenuating circumstance that would have caused that. Pretty much so that is the final formalization of the tax delinquency auction process, is that the legislative body has to approve that. Do you have any instance where it would be declined?
Yeah, we had like one in the last 15 years.
They've had one in the past 15 years.
And that was a fall option because the 5 people might have been there and only one person did.
So if we go to our municipality and for the city and the towns and the village, is it for 2 years back taxes that hasn't been paid?
All you have to do is worry about the current year taxes that come out this year.
Okay.
So nobody, any of these parcels, you're not going to be responsible for any of the delinquent taxes. That's how the properties got to the auction.
Wiped out.
So Article 11 of the real property tax law is how the county foreclosed upon these properties and is able to sell it. Okay, so all those delinquent taxes that were owed on the properties is how those properties became in this auction. So those are wiped out, and the purpose of this auction is to try and recoup those delinquencies for the county through the sale of the property.
Simply put, with taxes, if it's in a town, you don't have to worry about it. If it's in a village, you have to pay the village tax bill that just came out in June. So whatever, you can look it up online, you can call someone, whatever that village bill, that will be due at the time that you pay your final one. And then the city of Olean is the only city properties that we have, so it's a city bill that came out in May. So whatever that bill. If you buy a property in the city of Olean, there's a bill sitting out there right now. Anything prior to that, there's nothing.
Yes, sir.
What about liens? Liens from...
Part of the Article 11 process of real property tax law is the county notifies and gets a hold of any interested parties or lien holders on the property. They serve them with letters and give them ample time to let them know that the property is going to be sold if the taxes are not paid. So to the best of our knowledge and the county's knowledge, there are no existing lien holders. And that they would have the opportunity to have paid the taxes to maintain their interest in that parcel.
And there's no secondary, it's been sold, they find out about it, there's no time period involved there.
That I have never encountered. Do you, county, have any secondary stuff that he's asking about?
If there's an IRS lien, that might be one of the things that you have to deal with. You might have to apply for a release of lien. But we go through some big hoops to be able to notify everybody. I try to be very careful to notify. I check the searches, I recheck the searches, I try to find the information. And when we get return mail, we try to find a better address. We do everything we can to notify people. If they really have an interest in the property, we get phone calls all the time from banks who are checking on whether taxes are paid in order to keep their lien secure. So if somebody does a check on it and we can't find them, there's not really much more we can do.
So what's the recourse then?
Our notice states that anybody who doesn't pay the tax loses their right title and interest in the property. They're forever barred.
Okay.
So, unless they come up with some real big extenuating circumstances that, the search company missed something or I missed something, then, and like I said, I try to be real careful about that.
I got one more question. When's the last date that the taxes to be paid on these properties?
When's the last?
The last date that the foreclosure individual has to pay those taxes?
It's gone. May 25th was last day.
So a few weeks ago.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else have any questions with the terms?
I've got questions still related to the
Okay.
tax issue. On the day of a final deed recording, we're going to be expected to pay the balance based on the taxes for the current assessment of the properties that are in here, correct?
That'll be part of it.
Some of the properties that are in here, I believe are in need of a reassessment, probably in the downward direction based on the condition of the property. However, some of them have not been reassessed yet. So the amount that we're going to pay for the 2018 spring tax will not have that reassessment in it, correct?
Yeah, you're gonna pay what it's assessed at. I'm Dan Martonis, the real property director for the county. So what Joe and I do when we go out to visit houses, we don't look at vacant land. I try to notify all the assessors if it looks crazy, if the assessment does not look like what the house should be valued at. It's still up to that local assessor to change it. So we at the county assess only for Otto, Great Valley, and we just got Dayton, so it's too late to do anything with the Dayton properties. But we notify all the assessors, whatever the assessment is there right now, that's what you're paying your taxes on for like the city of Olean and those village properties. And that's what you're going to be paying your taxes on for the school bill that comes out. And for the school bill, because it's going to be too late to go. If you win a property and try to go have the assessment lowered, you might get the assessment lowered, but it's not for until 2019. You're going to have a school bill this September that comes out with that assessment on it. So whatever's in the book, that's what your taxes are going to be based off of. And your next January town and county is going to be based off of that as well. So if you go and say, hey, this property is assessed at $80,000, I just bought it at auction for 10, they agree to lower it to 25 or something. Auctions are arm length sales, so there might be some wiggle room there. That won't be seen until 2019, September 2019. That'll be your first bill that is lowered. So keep that in mind. You might have a couple of high tax bills out there based on assessed value.
But once a year, you have a right to apply for grievance day to the municipality and ask for a reduction. Okay? Well, after you own it, you have the right, okay? Once a year to file a grievance and go and have a hearing and find out what they feel versus what you feel, okay? My recommendation is hire a certified appraiser, pay them the $350 or $400. It will make your job much easier. And auction price is not real value. Auction price is discounted. I mean, you're coming to the auction because you're going to buy it for less than it's worth. That doesn't mean that the high number is the right number and the auction number is the right number. Somewhere in the middle, which a certified appraiser could easily put a number on it that's fair, and everyone should be able to live with.
But the taxes that
For now, you're going to pay.
you're going to pay this year.
That's
Correct.
right.
Correct.
What's the time frame from Saturday, then we can do something with the property, if it's vacant land?
You can't do anything until you have the deed.
What's the time frame?
How soon does the legislature meet?
They're gonna have their meeting on the 27th to vote. I'm gonna send out the letter giving you 30 days from the 27th. And when we file deeds in batches, usually once a week. So if you're right there paying right on time, then, you know, the 28th or whatever it is, then we're gonna try to get you in that first batch. When it goes on record, you're the record owner.
Well, for, as far as property maintenance goes, because the property that I'm talking about is like right in the middle of our village. We're trying to really bump up the property maintenance, and the grass hasn't been cut yet. So can I cut the grass if I buy it Saturday? No?
No, not.
Okay,
Legally, you cannot.
okay.
You don't own it?
You don't own
Illegally, I can though.
it. You said,
We ain't telling you what to do.
I have to make it really over here.
I've been asked already, but unfortunately we can't hear if you're not at the microphone. As far as the titles on it, like IRS liens, judgments, and that, are they gonna be admissible after the purchase of the foreclosed property, or do they automatically just go away?
So yes, we did touch
Because
on
under
that.
10, it said that the payment, one of them where it's not, it's no warranty or representation of marketability of the title.
Okay, so when we send out our notices to the owners and also to anyone who's a creditor or mortgagee, they have the same right as the owner. They had a date to pay by, and if they wanted to keep their right title and interest to the property, and when the county foreclosed, that cut them off. So it doesn't mean that, right, and those judgments, we're not saying that they dissolve or go away. We're saying that our foreclosure cuts them off from following the property.
That's okay, thank you.
Anybody else have questions on the terms? Yes, sir. in the back. Littoral rights is dealing with lake access. Littoral and riparian rights would be any accesses to rivers or streams. Littoral rights would be any accesses to a lake. So if you have a property near a lake, if it says check for littoral rights, the deed someplace may say that you have access to walk across the piece of property to go to the lake. That's just a suggestion to go take a look at. So littoral rights is a possibility for lake rights, riparian is a possibility for river or stream. The access to get to it, whether walking to it, putting a boat in it, if there are those types of rights existing, they would be recorded. Yes, sir.
Okay, can we start the procedure to have the person remove their property from it prior to receiving the deed?
No. You can't do anything with anything on the property, the people, the personal property, the lawn, until you have title in your name. Yes, ma'am.
How long from the time that we have the deed in our hand do we have to give the prior owner?
That's something you would consult your attorney with. We're just selling the properties, we're not telling you how to evict people. Yes, sir.
Is there any minimum or reserve bid, and what order will you be?
Are there any minimum or reserves? If there are any minimum or reserves, they would be noted in the property. I believe there is one. There's a couple of them. They're listed in the book. The order of the auction will be exactly how you see it in your catalog.
From front to back.
Someone asked about evictions, I think, a little bit earlier.
Yes.
Privately, the county's policy is we try to have basically the house empty before someone else will take ownership of it. Well, right now, of all the properties, I am aware that there are probably 4 of them that are presently inhabited. 2 of them are by design because these people, they want to bid on the property, or their tenants, they want to bid on the property, they think they'll be successful. They realize since they already have been, they've received eviction notice that if they're not successful, that they're going to be out of there very quickly. And 2 of them, I know they're in the city of Olean, I'm going to have to evict them. But I would not expect you to pay the purchase price to us unless, unless we get rid of them. So I would grant the extension.
In the back, yes, sir.
Can a licensed real estate agent show us the property before the auction?
No. The properties are not available for open house or inspection. It's a liability to the county. Do you have another question up front here?
I do. What if you buy a property and it's inhabitable? It needs to be taken down,
You
condemned?
just bought an inhabitable house.
Or is somebody gonna come and say, okay, now you've gotta pay 15 grand and demolish this place?
Very possible. So this is an auction, guys. You're buying it in its as-is condition. So what you can see from street view, what you can ask from neighbors, look in the tax rolls, call the local code enforcement officers. That's as much information as you know. Okay?
Who would be that person that would come and do that?
I'm sorry?
Who would be that entity
To do what?
that would come and say, okay, you just bought this at auction, and 2 days later, they come and tell me I have to tear it down? Who would that be? Code enforcement?
That would be your local code enforcement officer, which, I mean, if you guys are interested in purchasing any of these buildings or properties, you're highly encouraged to contact those local code enforcement officers to see if there is any outstanding codes.
Yeah.
Like you said, the lawn is high. I mean, sometimes they have, the gutter needs to be hung back up. I mean, you guys are buying them as they sit. I mean, sometimes it is a gamble. Sometimes if you know it was recently lived in. But the as-is condition of the nature is what makes this an auction and what affects the prices. I mean, a house.
The assessor indicated that that's out of their jurisdiction, out of code and their concern.
Well, if the code enforcement officer told you he doesn't care the condition of the
Then
house,
don't worry about it. Okay.
I guess that's your answer.
Thank you.
But I would highly recommend that if you are interested in purchasing the property, that you do contact the code enforcement officer to see if there are any outstanding violations that are going to become your responsibility once you have that deed.
But that's as far as you know, those are the people who would tell you that.
To the best of my knowledge.
The county agrees with that?
We're not going to tell you you have to tear it down.
Okay.
That's all based on local code
Okay,
enforcement.
just checking.
That's a town.
Good question.
Anybody else?
Could I, what does number 10 mean? I don't know if I missed it, but about the,
Number 10
Yeah.
means you're only going to get a quitclaim deed with no warranty representation to the marketability of title, and that the county legislator is going to approve it, and that you have to pay all of the purchase price, applicable taxes, closing cost fee, defiling fee, and it'll all be done in the
what
clerk's
is the
office.
marketability of title?
Meaning, would you like to word it?
Well, if you buy property from a private seller, you're going to want a warranty deed, meaning that there was a search that was at least a 50-year search, and you have no liens, or that liens are going to be taken care of in the sale. This is a quitclaim deed, but because of going through Article 11 and foreclosing the way we do, we cut off any liens from following the property. So what we're saying is, it's a quitclaim deed, but it's a very good quitclaim deed. We're selling our rights in the property only, and if there is some issue with that, like you go turn around and try to sell it to somebody else, they may say, well, you only got this by quitclaim deed, and they're going to want warranty. Well, you may have to look into it a little further. A good search company is going to see that the county
Oh, so you might have
foreclosed.
to go get a search and all.
You would anyway.
Right.
But they're going to look at the county foreclosure and see what we did. They're going to see that we did it right and that it cut off everybody. So even though it's quitclaim, it's a very good quitclaim.
Yes, sir.
Do mineral rights fall on the property if you buy property?
It's going to be however the deed reads. Whatever the deed says right now is how it will be once you get the deed. If it's not in the deed, when the deed gets transferred over to you, it's not in the deed. So if you're interested in a property that has potential mineral rights, I would contact the county and take a look at how the deed's written. Yep. I saw a hand over here someplace, I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
If we buy a vacant lot and we find that there's property of the previous owner, we have to call the previous owner to see if they still want that property. And if they don't, we have to call our local municipality to see how to dispose of the property.
Are you asking a question or telling?
Ask them.
Okay, so I am not here to give legal advice. My advice to you is if there's any personal property on the property or in a building, you contact your attorney and listen to what they have to tell you. Because there is proper ways to dispose of abandoned material. Is your process correct? I can't tell you yes or no. Unfortunately, that's not my within my legal realm to tell you that. I would strongly suggest you get a hold of your attorney and the local law enforcement officer on how to get through the proper abandoned possession process. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay, back to the mineral rights. Property I'm considering is under a home association. It says that there's no right to those mineral rights. Is there any, because the deed, how does the deed go with a homeowners association? Does it have to follow homeowners association or the deed or?
Going to follow the deed, but if it's within a homeowners association, that is the necessary evil of that property. So I mean,
The homeowners association?
both are going to come into play. So basically, the deed is going to be transferred however it's recorded with the county. If the homeowners association has specific rules to be part of owner in that association with that dwelling or building, you're going to also have to adhere to their private little rules, which are not of the county or our, I guess, interest. So basically, I mean, if you are interested in that property, you would want to contact them specifically and say, you know, I'm interested in this property that's going up for auction. What can I expect through the homeowners association if I'm not a bidder on this? And like I said, guys, through this process, it does not hurt to call everybody and anybody. Tomorrow morning, all of the code enforcement officers and tax assessment are going to call these guys and say, stop telling the auctioneer to tell them to come. I mean, you guys are here to make some, in some cases, some very substantial purchases. And our recommendation to you guys is always going to be to do as much research as you can so you feel confident when you come in to purchase. You guys are already ahead of, we'll say 90% of the crowd that's going to be here next week because you came up today. So we're getting a lot of your guys' questions answered. This opportunity will not be presented on Saturday. Okay, when auction day comes, we read through the terms into the auction. So you guys are ahead of the game, but by all means, please make sure that you guys go to the clerk's office, look at how the deed's written, look at the tax map, call the code enforcement officers. You guys are making a purchase, which is in some cases going to be very hefty. So we want you guys to make sure you guys are as educated as possible. Anybody else questions with the terms? And then we'll get right into sort of auction day process, how it will. We will be available if you guys have personalized questions, certain circumstances, questions on a particular property. We'll be here afterwards, okay? We have just over 145 properties. I can keep you guys here till about 9 o'clock. We can go through a whole slide of all those properties. Not going to do that to you, okay? If you guys have any specific property questions, all of the information that Auctions International knows is in your book. Okay, so that's going to be my answer. If you guys have any more specialized questions on particular properties, start at the local municipality and work your way up until you get your questions answered. Okay? No, any other questions on the terms? Yes, sir.
Is this online also, or you have to be present?
You have to be at the auction today. There's no online bidding available.
Do we get registered tonight?
Yes, you can.
And how do we go about it? For those of us that want to be...
As soon as we wrap up the meeting, you'll come up, sign a piece of paper, get in line, and then we'll get you a bid number.
Thank you.
No problem. Any other questions on the terms? Yes, sir.
I understand there's a process for having someone go on your behalf if you can't be there.
Yes.
And where do I find all that information? Or?
You can take one of my business cards, and I'll send you an email with the power of attorney form that you have to have executed.
If we're registered tonight, what time should we be here?
You be here whatever time you want. So registration starts at 8, auction starts at 10. I mean, it's gonna, I don't want to tell you. I don't want to tell you to get here at 9:30 and the pre-registration line is long and you miss the first property. If I tell you a time and you miss it, I become liable. Get here, if you want to get here at 8 o'clock, get your paddles, go downtown, get a cup of coffee, and come back for the auction.
We're gonna have coffee and donuts.
Oh, we're gonna have coffee and donuts here. You don't even have to go anywhere. And lunch. Bring money, guys. You know which group's doing it?
There's, the theater club is doing breakfast, baked goods.
So the theater club will be doing breakfast and baked goods in the morning.
And then the varsity softball is doing lunch.
Varsity softball will be doing lunch. So kudos to Ken Littlevalley for getting you guys some bidding food. But as far as what time to get your guys' registration, we're going to open the doors. We're going to be here probably 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. We're going to get all of our stuff set up. As soon as we're set up, we'll let you guys start coming in to get registered. Those of you who pre-registered or are going to pre-register, you're going to have an orange bidder card. I know we sort of touched on this, but for those of you who just came in, we walked through that process. If you have an orange bidder card, that is not going to be your bidder number for the sale. We're going to actually give you an actual ping pong paddle-sized paddle for the auction. To get that, what you're going to do on auction day is you're going to walk through those doors that you came in tonight. You're going to follow the bright orange arrows. It's going to say pre-registration this way, and it's going to bring you to a table. More than likely on that side of the room, basically you're going to hand over that orange piece of paper that you have in your pocket, and we're going to give you a bidder paddle. It's just that easy. So that's what pre-registration does for you. Instead of having to sit up here, fill out the paperwork, what have you. So when you come in on auction day, if you have pre-registered, we're going to have a table out front with stuff going on. You beeline past all that, follow the orange signs until you get to the table where it says pre-register here. Okay? So, yes?
With their expertise in auction, how long is it going to take?
It's going to take all day. I can tell you that. It's going to be a very long day, guys.
To go through all four?
Yep, so typically between 30 and 45 properties an hour. The speed of the auction is also...
Start at 10?
Yes, we're going to start right at 10. The speed of the auction is going to be 100% determined on you guys bidding. I mean, if you sell a $100,000 house and you guys don't want to start bidding until we get to $500 and go up from there, we'll be here all day. So we're kind of, I'll touch on how the bidding process will work as we kind of go through here. Auction day, you guys get registered, you have your paddles, get your seats. We're going to have the first few rows in front of our tables here blocked off, just so that people aren't having other people's buttocks in their face when they're paying for their bills. All right, on auction day, right in front of where I'm sitting is going to be where you'll come and pay for your deposits. We'll have our staff here. There'll be plenty of signs and arrows, so you guys don't have to worry about questioning anything. Okay, so the auction will start at 10. First thing we do is we read through the terms and conditions of the auction. Once we read through the terms and conditions of the auction, we start right away. The first property we're going to sell is going to be whatever the first property is listed in this book.
So they sell in the order that you have.
Parcel number 20 will be the first property we start with. All right, so we're going to go through the auction in catalog order. Question we get, I want to bid on property 507, what time should I be here? Couldn't tell you guys. I could not tell you. I mean, the auction process can be as quick or as slow as you guys as the bidders want it to be. I can talk faster than you can bid, I promise you. But we're not going to do that to you. Okay, so basically, if you are interested in a parcel and you don't want to sit here the whole time, either have someone sit here for you, bob in and out. I mean, I'm not expecting if you're bidding on the last property to sit here for 9 hours. But if the property comes up and you're not here, I guess you guys can sort of see how that cookie crumbles. Okay, so my suggestion would be wear comfy clothes, air conditioning's on. If it gets chilly, bring a sweatshirt. There will be food available out and about. So you know, we're trying to make it as enjoyable an experience as you can. Tax foreclosed auctions, they're kind of dry. I mean, we're selling 150 properties. So I mean, my advice to you is if you have a number that you're looking to spend, shout it out and we'll start from there. So that gets into how the bidding works. So we're going to start, for example, we'll start with that first property, and I'll show you how we'll start it to give you a feel. So the first property we have up, what we'll do is on auction day, this is exactly what we will do. Up next, we have lot number 20, known as 1107 Henley Street West, the city of Olean, tax ID number 94.072-1-24, two-story white house, brown trim, brown shutters, front door is clearly marked 1107. We have a minimum bid on this house of $2,000.
Hey, RJ, you want to click to the property?
I could do that. I got the clicker. Look at that. Brings up a good point. This will have the property we're selling. I forgot I had this big thing over here. But the property we're selling in your book will be up on this wall. Okay? Or on this screen. So now that we've opened, we've read the property information tax ID number, we told you the description. Typically, I will start to ask for approximately 75% of the assessed value. It says the full total assessment here is about $66,000. Well, anybody starting at $40,000 to go? Do I hear 40,000? 40,000. Are you bidding or are you asking questions? Okay, hold on 1 second. All right. So nobody, for sake of argument, nobody bids at 40,000. Do I hear 30,000? Do I hear 20,000? Someone says 15. 15, so we start at 15, go here 20, 25, 30, 35, and then we go up. So now you can see as if we are selling 100-acre lot and we start out at $1, how long we can be here, okay? So make sure you guys, if you have a number in your head, it's gonna go higher than that anyways. You guys didn't come and shout out your highest number. So I mean, we can start out wherever you want, okay? I mean, and if you don't want to, that's fine. I get paid by the hour. But I mean, you guys are the ones we want to try and be mindful of your time. Question before we go.
I noticed on some of the maps, you've got the property with the arrow, so you have darkened areas around that. What does that indicate?
That indicates the county's tax map on their website. The arrow is the property we're selling. The other gray stuff, couldn't tell you.
It means it's on another tax map.
It's on another tax map. That's what it means. Yes, sir.
Question on property that's surrounded by other people's property and there's no access, no road or driveway to it. What's the situation with that?
Buy helicopter. So you're talking about landlocked property. Landlocked property, it's just that. I mean, if you are interested in purchasing a piece of property that is landlocked by other parcels, check the deed, see if there's any easements or right-of-ways. If not, you're buying a piece of property that you might not be able to get to. Unless you have a helicopter. You can get to anything with a helicopter.
I'll expand on that a little bit. In New York State, it's actually in the state constitution, there is no such thing as landlocked property. You can go to court and get an easement into your property somehow. They'll figure out what's the best way to get into that landlocked property, and that'll be your way into it. But it might take a whole court proceeding to figure out how to get to that property. But definitely check, as RJ said there, all the deeds going back. There might be some type of. And I know Robin found one on one property. Was that
347.
on 347, parcel number 347? Looks like it's landlocked, but we found a right-of-way through there that's right on the actual railroad bed, the driveway there, and they have to keep that maintained for that property in the town of Great Valley.
I'm still looking at the rest of them. It takes
All
a
right,
while to find them.
So pull up on questions. We're going to keep going through the auction process. So you guys on auction day are going to have these big paddles. If you are interested in bidding, you put the paddle up. If you're not interested in bidding, you put the paddle down. Seems like a simple concept, but someone's going to mess it up. All right, so as you can see, it's a big room. We're all sort of spread out as it is. On auction day, this room's going to be packed. Guy in the back winking at me, I'm not going to be able to see that, okay? We have the paddles for a reason. And the reason for the paddles is so we don't miss your bid. More so, we will actually have people standing just about where Russ is throughout the space that are going to catch your bid in case the auctioneer at that point you can't see. Very rarely get missed. You have a paddle for a reason. If you're interested in bidding, make sure it's up. As we go through the auction, you're going to start talking to your neighbor and whispering to your buddy and playing on your phone. Keep in mind that just because you put your paddle up once does not mean that you're still in as we proceed through selling that parcel. All right, so if we're selling lot number 20 and you are actively interested in purchasing it, let's have some sort of connection here until that property is sold. All right, we don't want you guys to bid $10,000 and start talking to your friend, and then we sell it for $25,000 and you say, well, I was in. You're not. Okay, so as you're going through the process, if you're interested in a particular property, follow that property through until it says sold. Then you can talk. Or low murmur, because we don't want people talking, it'll be too loud. Yes, sir.
Do you guys have any notations in the book like last year about properties that have been in the auction once, twice, 3 times?
No, I do not believe we did that.
They're the ones that have the ABs.
Oh, they are the ones at the end that have the A, Bs, or Cs, or Ds? Those are the ones that we had from previous auctions. Not we, the company. Yes, sir.
Does the registration time close at a certain time?
Right.
Because I'm interested in one of the back ones.
Registration will be available through the duration of the auction.
Okay.
So until the last property is sold, we will have registration available. Do not assume that you can come at 2 o'clock and buy your property, that's going to be enough time. I mean, you want to make sure you get here and give yourself ample time because, as I mentioned, we cannot guarantee nor gauge the flow of the auction. Okay, we have a rough guesstimate, 30 to 45 properties an hour. That could be shortened up to 20, that could be expanded up to 60. All right, so if you are interested in a property, I will try and get here as soon as you can. get yourself registered and get yourself a number. And like I said, if you want to go on the hall, you want to go to your car real quick, just stay actively engaged with the auction and sort of follow along where we're at. Because once it's gone, whether you're here or not.
And you can register tonight, pick up the paperwork here, put it behind you, get it done.
Okay, so after you're the high bidder, you had your paddle up the latest, we're going to record your number and the amount that you bid, as well as the backup bidder and their backup bid amount. At that point, you're more than welcome and encouraged to come on up to where you had registered. It's going to be up front in front of this podium. The podium is going to be moved, the table will not. This will be where you pay, okay? You come up to pay, be prepared to pay. That means don't wait in line and then come up and say, I don't have no money. Make sure you bring your deposit amounts, your credit cards, your cash, what have you. We'll have plenty of staff up here to help you. We'll probably have 3 cashier clerks going. We're probably more than likely going to have 1 guaranteed just for credit card and debit card payments. Okay, so keep that in mind. We'll have signage so you guys don't have to be confused. Basically, we want to just keep the flow of the auction going as quickly as possible. The intermissions will act as a little type of a break for those people who haven't come up and paid. Come up, make your deposits. We'll get right into the next portion.
If you pay, can you leave?
I'm sorry?
If you're only looking for one property, you pay, you go?
Yeah, oh yeah. If you buy something and you're done, more than welcome to leave. You're more than welcome to stay, but I would not. Yes, sir.
Debit cash?
Cash.
It's a
Debit card is processed as a credit card because of the processing fee. It's not a bank. When it gets swiped, get charged. But if you have a debit card, bring cash. If you have access to that cash, cash is king. There will be, to the best of my knowledge, sheriffs here, as they were tonight. So if you're worried about the security of the money in your pocket, there will be law enforcement in the building, both noticeable and unnoticeable for your protection as well as ours. So after the auctions, you guys come up, you pay, we're going to furnish you with your purchase agreement. We're going to give all the paperwork over to the county. The legislative meeting is going to happen on the 27th. After the 27th, the county is going to send you the letter. Once you get the letter, go in and pay your bill. So from the date of the meeting, that's when your 30 days start to get the rest of your money in, the rest of your deposits. As we discussed, up until you have a deed in your hand, you're not the owner yet. You can't go onto the property, you can't make executive decisions, can't collect rent, what have you. That's pretty much sort of the process, guys. I can tell you it's not going to be the most exciting thing you've done. I will do my best to keep you guys engaged and laugh a little bit here and there with my own stupid little bunch of jokes. But other than that, I mean, just come ready to bid. Make sure you guys come prepared with your deposits. If you guys are interested in pre-registering, you're more than welcome to. You have to come up to the front table. You have to grab the 3 forms that we need, sign them, date them, and then come on up. Before I finish, do any of the county personnel have anything they else would like to add?
They can always call me if they have.
Okay, and as always, guys, if you have any questions regarding the process and the particular properties, feel free to either call our office or call the county, and let's get them addressed before auction. When you come here at 9:59 next Saturday is not the time to ask questions about properties. Okay?
I would also suggest they keep watching the website because if there's any parcels removed, they need to know that. But also, as I find information about right-of-way or any other issue that comes up, we can have that updated on your site.
Okay, so that she brings up a great point here. Unfortunately, not everyone has computers, we understand that. The most immediate way of data transmission is through our website. So if for any reason a property gets removed, redeemed, pulled from the auctions, it will be noted on our website when you click onto the property list. Everything in red on our property list is not going to be in the auction. Everything that says to be sold will be sold. So keep an eye on that. There are extenuating circumstances that come up as you get down to the last week before an auction. The properties may get pulled, bankruptcies, what have you. And as the county is able to obtain any additional information, such as those right-of-ways and easements and what have you, they furnish them with us, and we're going to update it so you guys have that information. Okay, thank you all for coming. Like I said, if you are interested in registering, come on up. If you have any specialized questions, feel free to come on up and ask any of our staff. And we do, before everybody leaves, we do have mats available. We have mats for the dwellings, as well as for vacant lots. They're $2 a piece, and we have them up front if you are interested.
Good out and listen.
My brother filled out all of his paperwork. Motorized, and I had that written out, I wasn't sure if I could get it all here. It's all He's got his brother's stuff. My brother sent all the stuff and all his stuff with the driver's license and motorized. Yeah. He wanted me to see if I could hand this to him today. So I could give this to
So it's a 97. So.
I do. 716-372-75. Yeah.
Anything that's not included on there.
What's that?
Highlighting, one page is a place for I, name, 900.
I do. It's 155.
3 pages. Sure.
This is your number.
Thank you very much.
Find me some steak.
What's that, buddy?
Find me some steak.